Why be believes in the Lord Buddha 046 The depth of Buddha's teachings. Principles that Master Pranee and Master Chaiwat want to communicate is to explain that these 5 forms or aggregates are suffering. Through composing the main postures, namely standing, walking, sitting, and lying down, which everyone must already do. And most people tend not to pay attention to such gestures. It's automatic. Whenever you want to do or be in a certain pose, just do it and change it, for example from sitting to standing. From standing position to walking position, etc. Without realizing why we were doing it, Master wanted to teach how to consider those postures and their changes in position. It comes from relieving suffering. For example, naturally, if we sit for a long time, we will feel tired after a while. It will change to getting up and walking to stretch. We often feel more comfortable. Because the aches and pains disappeared from the sitting position a little while ago. Or if you walk around and your legs are very tired. I'd like to sit down and rest a bit. When I sat down, I felt more comfortable from sitting, etc., making me feel that the change in posture do it to make your muscles feel comfortable, and comfortable is the base logic in that we change postures because we want our bodies to be more comfortable. When expressed with words such as, come sit here and rest, you'll get a little more comfortable. After sitting for a long time, is it a good idea to go to bed so you'll feel more comfortable? Or stand all day and your legs get tired? Come sit and rest and let your muscles relax a bit, etc. This promotes misunderstanding. Because being in a new position is comfortable, relaxed, etc. If changing to a new pose is comfortable, it's really good like that. Just keep walking or keep sitting. Just keep lying down, etc. If sitting is done to create more comfort, why don't you sit down all the time? Why do you get up and walk? Why go down and lie down? This way of thinking or perspective most people are unlikely to notice or think about it. Because doing it has become a natural part of us. But if you think about it, you will see that the way of thinking that makes you comfortable is a concept that is not quite correct. Because if doing it is comfortable, why would we change our posture from that comfortable position, correct? Why don't we just stay in that comfortable position for the rest of our day or life? If it's so comfortable, why change postures at all? Now you will ask, if you think that changing your position for comfort is incorrect or not logically correct. So how should we think or have a perspective or attitude towards changing this posture? To which the teacher revealed that changing postures is in order to relieve suffering. Where does that suffering come from? It is suffering that arises from the present posture. That it cannot remain in its original state according to the principles of nature or the principles of the 3 characteristics. Where everything happens is located, there will be changes. Unable to maintain its original state, and there was an eventual extinction. It is not under the control of anyone at all. Nothing can remain without change forever. The logic of this way of thinking feels that it is a concept that is more suitable for the natural working process of the human living. Enough to understand the appropriate reasons like this, so it caused an understanding of the matter. These 5 rupanamas or aggregates of suffering are immediately apparent, which most people when asked or have heard and read Buddhist teachings that living this life is suffering. This is what suffering is like. What do you think is causing so much suffering? How are you suffering? Most people will answer. Suffering from having no money to spend, suffering from not getting what you want, suffering from discomfort, the suffering of seeing a loved one get sick, etc. Those suffering are at another level of suffering that is higher than the basic suffering of the 5 aggregates or aggregates. Do you think that living this life is suffering? How are you suffering? Do you know or not? But it does not only mean suffering as in the example above. But it is suffering that is much more basic than those. Can you imagine what this suffering or basic suffering is? If you still can't figure it out, to have this life, or how is your 5 aggregates or body suffering? B will give you a little help. Let everyone imagine that you are a patient stuck in bed who cannot move. From the neck down, let's just say that you can still talk. Otherwise you think B's too cruel. Ha ha ha. Are you getting the picture? If you haven't gotten it yet, B would like to ask for 1 to 2 minutes of your time again. Try imagining it. Oh, it's time to play the game again. Now, try imagining it. How miserable is the condition of this bedridden patient? Well, if you're ready, 3, 2, 1, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Let's start. For those who watch the clip, please pause playing this clip first. Then come look at it after you've finished trying the activity or answering the questions. As for those who read from books or from the web page, stop reading for a moment and do the activity first. Oh, my time's up. How did you do? Have you gotten the answer yet? How did you do? Can you imagine it? How miserable is the condition of this bedridden patient? Have you seen how your body is suffering? Have you seen how suffering is caused by the 5 aggregates or the body and mind that you take to be your identity self? Do you need me to explain it further? For those of you who still can't imagine that. What is the suffering situation of bedridden patients? Try to imagine yourself as one who is lying in that bed. What should you do when you have to pee or poop? You can't get up to do that. Are you suffering? What do you do when you poop? You can't clean it yourself. Are you suffering? What do you do when you're hungry or thirsty? You can't get up and go find something to eat yourself. Are you suffering? When you eat and find gravel or bones that you have to spit out, what do? You have to push it out of your mouth. You can't bend over to spit. Are you suffering? When you sleep for a long time, your back hurts. What should you do? You can't turn over. Are you suffering? What do you do when it's itchy? You can't reach out and scratch it. Are you suffering? When you can't sleep, the light hurts your eyes. What should you do? You can't get up to turn off the light. Are you suffering? When it's dark, you can't see. What should you do? You can't get up to turn on the light. Are you suffering? What do you do when it's hot? You can't turn on the fan or the air conditioner. Are you suffering? What do you do when it's cold? You can't cover yourself with a blanket. Are you suffering? When someone finishes showering and toweling off your body, you then lies naked, like that, what do? You can't get dressed and put on your own clothes. Are you suffering? When you feel sticky and want to take a shower, what do? You can't get up to take a shower and dry yourself off. Are you suffering? When insects fly or climb on your body, what do? You can't brush them away. Are you suffering? When you miss someone to talk to, what do? You can't pick up the phone and call. Are you suffering? When someone calls you, what do? You can't answer the phone. Are you suffering? When you want to watch a movie or listen to music, what do? You can't press the remote to turn on the TV or the sound system. Are you suffering? When you want to write a goodbye letter, what do? You can't pick up a pen and paper to write. Are you suffering? When sweat flows into your eyes, what do? You can't wipe away the sweat. Are you suffering? What should you do when you have to pee or poop? You can't get up to do that. Are you suffering? What do you do when you poop? You can't clean it yourself. Are you suffering? What do you do when you're hungry or thirsty? You can't get up and go find something to eat yourself. Are you suffering? Etc. Oh, it's starting to go round and round again now? Ha ha ha, that's right. This basic suffering will keep go on repeating its round like this many times a day. If you don't believe me, try observing it yourself. Do you now understand how suffering is caused by the 5 aggregates? These are basic sufferings. The reason we don't feel like it's a problem is because we solve suffering periodically. All day and all night, even when sleeping, there are sufferings to be relieved. Can you imagine what are those sufferings while sleeping? There's no need to pause this for you to ponder. You've probably already figured it out, right? If you can't, try asking the person next to you. Ha ha ha. In summary, soon we will all have to come and solve suffering here and there. Continuously all day. You've just finished fixing this one. It keeps coming back for you to fix the same thing again and again, but most people can't really imagine it. Too busy thinking about less important things, such as not having enough money, not having a job, fighting with friends, fighting with your boyfriend, arguing with your spouse, being upset that your wife won't talk to you. Worry about your flirtatious husband. The pain of an ungrateful child constantly finding problems to cause headaches for you, etc., which are also suffering. But those are sufferings at a different level, which can be managed or get rid of permanently, like becoming a Buddhist monk, and you don't have to worry about money or finding a job anymore, unfriend your friends, breaking up with your boyfriend, live as a single, stop supporting your children and let them take care of themselves, etc. Those sufferings can be gone. But the suffering that is attached to our body, we don't know how to get rid of it. It can't be cut off or deleted or stopped. It can't be sold. Not until you die from this life anyway. But after death, you think you will be free from these basic sufferings. No. You will be born again? But into another life form. Depending on your previous life's deeds, after being reborn and getting a new body, you will encounter the same basic suffering again. And it'll just keep going on and on like this, until you can find a way out of this system. As for some people who have committed crimes that have caused a lot of hardship to the others, in addition to encountering these basic suffering, they will also get, as a bonus to their previous bad deeds, that is suffering from the pain while joyfully wandering around in hell as well. You can say that creep got the promotion of buying one and getting the other one free, haha. Really, for B? Just the thought experiment of becoming a bedridden patient is vivid enough we can see the picture clearer than 8K movie, but for those of you who still haven't gotten it yet, if your imagination is still sketchy, try this simple exercise like this. Find a moment where you have nothing to do. Give it a try for half an hour or an hour. Try the virtual paraplegic simulation, find a seat or be in a place where no one will disturb you. Then turn off the phone. Lock the room door. Maybe turn on the TV, or you can leave the stereo on. If it's hot, don't turn on the air conditioner or fan, even better. Then sit in your office chair or any chair in the most comfortable position. Set your phone on a timer. Drink 2 glasses of water or drink. When you're ready, start the timer. Then sit still, and you're not allowed to move your body except from the neck up. Let's see how long you can stay in this pose. Try for as long as possible. If you move, it is end of that session. Stop the timer to see how much time has passed. Oh, it's time to play the game again. Okay, let's try and see. How long will you be able to stay in the same position without moving the body at all except from the neck up, similar to bedridden patient? If you move your body or shift your posture, the game is over. Stop the timer. Well, if you're ready, 3, 2, 1, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Let's start. For those who watch the clip, please pause playing this clip first. Then come look at it after you've finished trying the activity or answering the questions. As for those who read from books or from the web page, stop reading for a moment and do the activity first. Add. Oh, time's up. How did you do? How long did you do it? Let's see if you move from your starting pose, whether in a sitting position or sleeping position. How long did it last? Without a fan, without air conditioning, after drinking water, when do you feel the need to pee, etc.? This test is based on an honor system. If you can't even be honest about this small test, it's probably game over for you in real life. Why waste time watching or listening to this program? Ha ha ha. Let's say, if you can bear to sit or sleep in that same position up to half an hour without feeling uncomfortable, you probably think it's no big deal. You don't have to worry about it when you're going to be a bedridden patient. It wouldn't hurt that much, right? Ha ha ha, or would it? Because for the patient who is bedridden, it's not just half an hour. It's all the time for the rest of that patient's life. So this little test, it does not help you prepare for when you have to be bedridden. It only proves to you that the body, mind, or these 5 aggregates are in the state of suffering periodically. And you must constantly relieve its suffering from time to time. The fact that you have to change your posture, it's because that solved the suffering that was arising in the same posture, not changing it for comfort. Be said that most of the time it doesn't take even 10 minutes for them to start getting stressed out. That is, if the weather is hot in summer too. Not to mention the urge of wanting to pee, this will increase the suffering even more. From this simulation of an experience similar to a bedridden patient, you should get or access the basic taste and suffering of life. Or these 5 aggregates. B doesn't know if you've reached the realization point yet. Can you guess whether this life you were born into is suffering or not? Because if B have been beating around the bush in this big garden of life many times and you still don't understand or getting it, it's like you're not shedding a tear until you see the body. Or horses that require skewers to penetrate into its bone to start running. What is the reason that must be understood? Should we play another game? Well, let's just do it. It's time to play the game again. Okay, try to answer. The reason that must be understood or getting is why this life is suffering. Well, if you're ready, 3, 2, 1, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Let's start. For those who watch the clip, please pause playing this clip first. Then come look at it after you've finished trying the activity or answering the questions. As for those who read from books or from the web page, stop reading for a moment and do the activity first. Add. Oh, my time's up. How are you? Have you gotten the answer yet? How are you? Did you guess correctly? The reason that must be understood or getting is why this life is suffering. It's because of this. If you do not see that this life or the next life or any life in this system is suffering, please ask yourself, will you find a way out of this system? You would probably have to answer, no way, Jose. That is, not finding a way out. Yes or no? That is, if you claim that when reading or hearing Buddhist teachings that this life that was born into suffering. Most people still don't understand where suffering lies. Living conditions have improved. The lifespan is longer. There are more conveniences. Everything looks better. So where is the suffering? It is enough to be a logical argument that can be understood. Because no one has yet pointed out the basic suffering that B has described since the beginning of this program. But after reading and listening up to this point, you still don't understand. Haven't gotten to it yet. Bee refer to this as not reaching the turning point yet. That is, everyone will have a turning point. Or as Bee calls it, the point where you click to reach any aha moment. In this case it's getting the Dhamma for each person, like Bee's. When listening to Master Kokrat explain the 5 aggregates until Bee understood, Bee got hooked and kept listening from then on until now, every day. Bee found it to be so profound and enlightening and feels lucky that Bee found this information before leaving this earth. So if you've listened or read up to this point and are still not getting it, you probably need to find your own turning point. You probably may have to continuously travel in this dance of lives for a very long time. Like most people, it probably doesn't matter. Because you're in among a lot of like-minded company, like old co-workers of mine and many others who gave reasons to be that well, if he can't remember his past life, meaning if he was born into the next life and do not remember how happy this life is, it probably doesn't matter. Bee has already explained that it is not the issue of having the memory or not, but the risk he gives himself is the chance to go to hell. That's the issue. If you think you're really smart, why don't you think about limiting the risk? He probably doesn't buy any insurance in this life because he's well off and be able to pay whatever fee comes his way, be it accidental or health-related. But what about most people on the planet? Bee believes that the majority of them has some sort of insurance to cover themselves in case of accident or emergencies. Because of this, each of you should choose a proper way to live your life. Don't just indulge in the temptation, which is try to enjoy only what you like, and stay away from things you hate. The next life comes faster than you all think. As in the phrases that friends often hear saying, "Oh, that friend is dead? His life is too short." Or, "Last week he was still playing badminton with us. Now he's gone. Oh, ow," etc. Or as the Master always warns us, don't be careless, don't be careless, don't be careless. However, if you don't believe in what the Lord Buddha's teaching, just think of it as a risk management for the afterlife. It goes like this. A. If there's no afterlife, everyone will be gone to nothingness after death, and that's fair game, no risk. B. If there's life after death and it is the other religion's model that you're familiar with, then you should prepare yourself in their ritual and beliefs to avoid the eternal suffering in hell. C. If there's life after death and it's the Buddha's model and you feel that Buddha's teaching is more logical and rational, then you should prepare yourself according to way Buddha has laid out. B. Thinks that doing so by preparing yourself is not that difficult and worth it comparing to the pain and suffering you have to face, not preparing for it. Again, you don't have to believe in Buddha's teachings, but think of it as a risk management tool for the afterlife. Coincidentally, B came across one of the comedian on this program, Billy Gardell halftime full show. At one point in his acts he said, "There are 50,000 religions in the world and you know what that means, somebody is going to be wrong." B doesn't want to spoil the joke, which is quite funny. He made an interesting argument there that's quite similar to what B is trying to make here, albeit in a slightly different tone and destination, but the context is the same. And that is, what if you're wrong, so choose carefully before you dive right in, since once you've committed there's no way you're going to reverse course. It's practically impossible. June 27, 23. There is another interesting example. From before, B used to raise 6 dogs. Meow, a dog named Meow. What kind of a dog is this? Please let your son name this dog. The son said meow, meow, so that Thai dog was named Meow. Since then, B has a dog named Meow. Meow was a puppy that someone had left and it came and meowing at the front door, so B took a pity on him and took care of him. Another hawk accidentally flew into B's house. A few days later a few boys came to claim it, but B refused to return it to them. Who one of them probably was the owner of that hawk. That time B probably committed the second sin, which is stealing from other, and as karma system goes, one day B have to pay for it because it's definitely coming, it's in the queue, Anyway, one day Meow sneaked up to the hawk to bite and killed it. So B decided not to keep Meow anymore, afraid he might hurt other smaller pets, so B drove Meow to a few streets away from B's house and left it in one of the alley where there are many stray dogs there. It probably won't starve to death. At that time, B didn't think much of it. It turned out that after 2 weeks had passed, Meow walked back to the front of the house. With truly amazing ability to find its way back home, B felt that Meow, this dog, must have been B's beloved companion dog, so B let him and raised it again until it died many years later. Lots of sadness and tears. Nick, another stray dog, B picked it up on the side of the road. It's Siberian Husky breed who must have escaped from the house and got lost. Can't find its way home. B saw a Chinese auntie take a broom and chase it away. So B carried him home. At that time, Bee couldn't tell what breed it was. But just think it's a beautiful dog. When the wife saw Nick, she posted online message looking for the owner, but no one came to claim it. So Bee kept raising him. Nuanul, Labrador breed, bought it as a birthday present for Bee's wife. Later, Nuan had a quickie and rhythmic activities with Nick, so she gave birth to her and Nick's children. They are a mixture between a Labrador and a Siberian Husky, named Simba, Bambi, Neela, and Nuan. But their mother Nuanul died during puppy birth, just like in the movie Star Wars when Padme Amidala died giving birth to Luke and Leia. Nuanul's death caused a lot of sadness and terror. There are 2 more cats. One was called Little Tiger. Bee's wife saw it in the middle of the main road but don't know how it got there. So she went and made a U-turned around again. Then park her car in the middle of a very busy street, risking a car crash. Caused quite a lot of traffic jams. Then she picked up the kitten and brought it home to raise it. But later she was bitten twice by the dogs at home and almost died. However, she survived the attacks. Now she has died of cancer. Last but not least, Bee has another cat at home, a mixed Persian breed. Named Yoda, who is the last remaining pet. Bee doesn't know who will be reborn first. Between the owner and the cat. After beating around a very big bush in a gigantic garden of life again with the unrelated story of Bee's pet. Bee is just going to say Yoda's main activity is sleeping, peeing and taking a poop, and sleeping, and sleeping, and sleeping. That is, he mainly sleeps all day and probably most of the night. In addition, another activity is eating. However, when Yoda wants to eat, he will walk to you and brush himself against your leg. And kept pestering you until he's fed. What is interesting is that Bee learned the Dhamma or fact of life from Yoda, and that he only eats when he is hungry, meaning he eats only to relieve suffering. When he's full, he'll go to sleep. No matter how much you want him to come to you, how many times you call him, he doesn't give a hoot. Ignoring your call. Doesn't care, doesn't want to come to snuggle or anything, and the food it eats is pellets. Same brand, same taste that is eaten every meal, every day. In summary, animals eat to relieve suffering. This one is clearly seen. But humans are not like that. We eat because of taste driven by lust, greed, or desire or wanted or attachment to the taste we like. Addicted to the preconceived notions of deliciousness beyond basic necessities that food can help solve our suffering, which is its main purpose, and that is to relieve hunger. May 16, 23. In summary, this life, or aggregates, is full of suffering conditions. Here we go again like a broken record or person who suffers from OCD, like Bee. To summarize again, one last time, what Bee has been trying to say so far, is that this body or this image carries with it a lot of suffering conditions along its lifespan. As Bee has clearly illustrated earlier, hopefully, just try to imagine if yourself as a bedridden sick person. You will see that every posture of being a human is suffering. For example, when you lie down for a long time without being able to turn over, you will experience pain or pressure sores. If you don't shower and wipe yourself, you will smell bad. If you don't brush your teeth, your mouth will stink. If it's time to eat, and if you can still chew it after a few hours, you'll have to eat again. After eating, you have to take a poop or pee. Either you call someone out to help you, or you pee or poop in the diapers. Leaving poop, peeing in diapers for a long time is uncomfortable and annoying, and may cause additional skin diseases. When you can't scratch the itch yourself, telling others to scratch it for you doesn't work. Where exactly to scratch? Scratching too hard and it hurts. Too soft itch won't go away. If you sleep with the light on, and you can't turn off the light, you won't be able to sleep. Falling asleep and waking up thirsty, unable to eat, having to call someone to get some water and food for you, etc. That is, when we think of ourselves as a sick, bedridden person, we will see that the existence of this form or body has suffering arising from time to time, until that sick person is dead. The points we would like to leave with you are: A. This is sort of a wake-up call for you to actually realize the basic fact of life, that our body or our image is a pile of suffering that arises periodically from time to time. Because we manage to solve or relieve some of those suffering in each of those periods doesn't mean that it's not there. The suffering is always there no matter how you think about it. B. Therefore, we must diligently consider that the way we solve suffering for ourselves is a solution according to necessity, not according to desire. That is, when we think of us as a sick person in bed, we lose the ability to relieve those suffering ourselves. In other words, we're not in control of our faculties as we've believed we do all along. When they decided to quit, there's nothing you can do about it except for accepting it and move on until our times come. Therefore, See, it's better not to kid or fool yourself going through life driven by lust or greed or desire, like when hungry, you find something delicious to eat, when it's hot, turn on the fan or the air conditioner, when bored, play a game or go on a trip, etc. Because all those tastiness, cool environment, game fun, and pleasant traveling, etc. are not real comfort, they are just temporary and won't last. Soon you will be back to fill those uncomfortable voids again and again. It's an illusion comparing to the real truth of relieving suffering. Which you do it because it's a natural part of living a life. When we take care of a sick person in bed, we help relieve the suffering of the sick person. According to necessity, yes or no. But when it comes to yourself, it mostly solves those suffering according to desire, and why is that? Or because you can and they can't, is that it? Is it really? How come? When you and they are the same species but their suffering conditions are not the same as yours, how does that work? Just because you can relieve your own sufferings and they can't, both of you are still in for the same suffering conditions no matter how you wanted to interpret them into some feelings or thoughts that please you instead. For sick people stuck in bed, they don't have the same choices as normal people. If we realize this fact, then we should consider the activities or postures that we do to relieve the suffering that arises from time to time. To suit your needs rather than your desires. In order to reduce defilements and desires and to create wisdom that this body or image is a pile of suffering. That there must be a constant need to resolve suffering until this body or image is broken or died. Should we, therefore, continue to cling to this suffering body or image? In B's personal humble opinion, it's a giant no. Any believes that stray away from the truth usually get us lost on the path of life. Besides, acting on a premise of fact will reduce your greed and lust for things that aren't of life's necessities. You will travel light on this life journey with less baggage, less burden, less worry. A more peaceful and pleasant trip, isn't this better? It is another way to help develop wisdom to reduce clinging to one's body or form or to a certain level in term of Sakya view. Or the self, which is another major topic altogether. Final summary, again, B wants to convey the depth of the Buddha's teachings illustrated by the logic and sample scenario above, how deep his teachings are. It's not the same train of thought normal mortal would think and perceive, but oftentimes, the opposite. Those teachings are based on the main principles. 1. Having correct beliefs or right view, in this case, believing that these 5 aggregates are cause for suffering. Through the use of logic and imagination as in the example above. Will lead to 2. Having the right mindset or right thought or way of thinking, that is, when thinking of changing one's posture, it is a solution to end that immediate suffering. Not changing posture to feel more comfortable. Which is a thought that does not reflect reality, or is mishya, which is a distorted and inaccurate idea. The right mindset leads to 3. Correct actions appropriate to reality, or samakamanta, is when we change postures. We have thoughts that we want to solve suffering. Not for comfort, therefore we do not seek change of posture for comfort. A simple chair that can be sat on, is sturdy, doesn't hurt your butt or back, and is inexpensive would be practical and enough. You don't need to find an expensive chair in order to sit comfortably. Because we sit to solve suffering, we don't sit for comfort. Or we do eat food to relieve hunger to give this body strength and be healthy. Such an action is called a correct and appropriate action. We should not strive to find food just because we feel it is delicious. The only cause is the solution for ending suffering. If we do it for comfort and deliciousness, it becomes a response to lust and greed, and we probably don't have to tell you that when we do things because of greed or lust or desire, it brings along more expense, more traveling, excessive weight gain, unhealthy lifestyles, etc. Those of which some of you don't mind because you might say, I've got the money and time to waste on that, but you know that's not the point we're discussing in this program, right? On the other hand, if you realize what you are doing is driven by greed, lust, or desire, which you're aware that's not the proper way to live your life, and yet you still decide to do it, that's another story. At least, it means you know what you're doing, like you know that cigarette is bad for you but you don't want to quit smoking, you like its taste and can't give up this nasty addiction. The right belief will lead to the right thinking, which will lead to the right action that reflects the way of life, are part of what B tries to present through various logic, arguments, and examples above, which reflect how very deep the teachings of the Lord Buddha are. Especially if you're not the natives of Buddhist countries, his perspectives on life and existences are probably or totally on the other extreme opposite end of what your beliefs and understanding of how the universe works, and definitely something you've never ever thought of in this way before. B is a native in a Buddhist country and still amazes at his insights and intelligent beyond genius level through his extremely deep understandings and teachings. Be Game Boy February 13, 24, 1858.